Yes, and I'm very, very keen. It's this time of the night.
Wellness Wednesdays on The Takeover. Brought to you by station sponsor Kelli K Naturopath. Book your free intro call today at kellik.com.au.
Yes, Kelli K Naturopath joins us over Zoom right now. Kelli, how you going?
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, going good. You know, we're just discussing off air. It's been very cold lately.
Yes.
Freezing, in fact.
Freezing.
Yes, but hopefully we're keeping warm here. The only reason, Kelli, you can't see me now wearing a jumper is because it's warm enough in the studio tonight. But
it's always warm in here, I reckon.
That's it. But Kelli, we're talking about a really, really interesting topic, and a topic which I'm sure Maz would have loved to talk about tonight, but I'll love to share on her behalf. Yeah. Diabetes and insulin resistance, which is a really, really interesting topic because, as we know, I'm sure there's many people out there in Adelaide who do have diabetes and suffer with these sort of diseases. But I guess for those who don't know much about diabetes and what it is, this is where we'd love to ask you, Kelli. So tell us, what is diabetes? How do you define it? And I hear there's also different types. What different types are there as well?
Yes. Well, so diabetes is an issue with blood sugar regulation and insulin regulation. So not being able to maintain enough sugar in the blood for your normal physiological functions, or having too much in the blood for your normal functions. But there are two types. So the type 1 diabetes, that's a bit different. That is an autoimmune disease, which means that the immune system has actually started attacking the pancreas and the cells which destroys the cells which produce insulin. So usually people with type 1, or always with people with type 1, need to take insulin. With type 2, this is the one that's caused more so by diet and lifestyle, and it can be controlled by diet and lifestyle. Some people will need the extra support of medication, but this is probably the one that we typically talk about and see most of. About 1 in 4, about a quarter of Australians, last time I looked, have diabetes or will be diagnosed with diabetes. So it's quite a significant problem.
Yeah, and so with both type 1 and type 2 diabetes, are they both as serious, like equally serious, or is one a bit more dangerous than the other?
Yeah, well, type 1 is typically a little bit more serious. You have to be a lot more strict about your sugar intake and matching your medication with it. Typically with type 2 diabetes, once they learn to manage it, it's not as serious. However, it still really does need to be well controlled. Otherwise, there definitely can be complications down the track and put people at risk of other more serious conditions or life-threatening conditions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so Kelli, as Dad said earlier, we're talking about diabetes and insulin resistance, which is something I've never heard of. Would you be able to tell us what insulin resistance actually is? And is it the same as diabetes, or is it different?
Okay, so insulin resistance is when the cells in the body, they develop a resistance to insulin. So they kind of lock the doors on insulin and won't let insulin into the cell. This is a problem because the only way that sugar can get into the cell to do its thing is with insulin. So insulin takes sugar by the hand and leads it into the cell, but it can't do that or the body becomes resistant, so less of that insulin is able to go into the cell, and therefore less sugar is able to go into the cell. And it's not the same as diabetes, but it's very much linked to diabetes. It's kind of the precursor, and it can develop over a long period of time, so even as long as a decade. And people with diabetes will have a level of insulin resistance, but you can have insulin resistance without being diabetic.
Interesting.
So I hope that makes sense.
Interesting. So you're saying that the two can be linked together, but also in other cases they can be separate on their own cases.
Yeah. So you can't have type 2 diabetes without being insulin resistant, but you can have insulin resistance without having diabetes. It's like the precursor.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, well, when we come back, Kelli, we'll go a little bit deeper into insulin resistance, what causes it and what the signs, and also if there's anything that we can do about it, anyone that diabetics can do about slowing down or reversing insulin resistance as well. So when we come back after Noah Cyrus and Vance Joy, we'll go a bit further into that. And so we'd love to talk about that with you a bit more after this. Kelli K, naturopath, who joins us over Zoom. Kelli, how are you going tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thanks. Just braving the cold.
Yeah, that's it. We all are indeed. We have just started talking about diabetes and insulin resistance, which I find so interesting. You've already gone a little bit into detail about what diabetes is and then what insulin resistance is and how it's linked and sometimes even not linked. But we'll even talk about this off air because we're just so interested about it. But could you tell us a little bit about insulin resistance itself? So what causes it? How does someone actually get insulin resistance?
So insulin resistance typically develops as a result of our lifestyle, our poor diet, having very high processed diet or a very high sugar diet, and not being active enough. There can be a genetic predisposition. So some people are more at risk because of their genetics, but that in itself won't be enough for someone to develop it. It's really a lifestyle condition. And it can also be linked with polycystic ovarian syndrome as well, which is a women's health condition that is quite prevalent as well. But yeah, always around that, not having enough healthy foods, too many carbs, too many fast foods or, alcohol, that kind of thing, and not moving our bodies enough.
Yeah.
Is what develops it, and it can develop over many years. So up to 10 years, it can take to actually get to the point where you're sitting in the category of insulin resistance or pre-diabetes. Yeah,
interesting. So basically, don't eat KFC every day. Noted. All right.
Yeah. Life advice right here. Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. And while we're talking about insulin resistance, Kelli, what are some of the signs of insulin resistance? How can we know that it might be something that we have?
It's a really tricky thing because someone can have insulin resistance and not have too many symptoms or signs, but there are a few to take note of. So someone gets particularly extremely fatigued and tired after eating a really carbohydrate-rich meal or having lots of sugar. That could be a sign. Not being able to go between meals without snacking, getting hangry after only a few hours. Or sugar cravings is another one. Skin tags and poor wound healing. And also it is very much linked with weight gain, but particularly carrying weight around the middle around their stomach in particular. You absolutely can, though, be insulin resistant without being overweight, for sure. But that's one of the key hallmarks in a lot of people as well.
Interesting. And so I guess for those who have found out and currently are living with insulin resistance and who are probably wondering, okay, so what can I do about it? What can I apply in my life to slow down or possibly reverse insulin resistance? What tips do you have there, Kelli?
Yeah, so really diet is central here because that's what's driving. So the way our body processes sugars and carbohydrates is really impacted. So changing the way we're eating to support a better blood sugar response. So this would be making sure that you're having plenty of protein and healthy fats and fruits and vegetables and whole grains and less of, as you say, less of the KFC and Maccas and alcohol and sugary drinks. Definitely. Some other things that are really important as well, which often get missed, is things like stress management and good sleep, because these things actually have a huge impact on the way our body processes carbohydrates and sugars. And if we're not getting enough sleep, if we're always stressed, then that's going to put us at a really high risk of developing insulin resistance as well. And then also in clinic, there are some herbs and nutrients which can be used to slow down the progression or to help manage blood sugar regulation as well. So that's something that, once you find out, you can engage the help of a practitioner to help know what's going to be beneficial for you. in terms of added support.
That's really, really, really interesting, Kelli. Thank you so much for talking about this with us tonight. Really interesting to learn more about diabetes and insulin resistance and what we can do about it. Kelli, if we want to know more about diabetes and insulin resistance, or if you have more information on it, where can we go?
Yeah, so if this is all really new to you, then I would go to like the Diabetes Australia website and have a little look at their information. If you want to find out more specifically about nutrition and how, naturopathic medicine, nutrients, herbals can help this type of thing, then you can follow me on socials at Kelli K Naturopath or Kelli K _Naturopath, or head to my website as well and get in touch, and I can either support you or direct you in a direction where you can get some help.
Yeah.
Or find some resources.
Oh, no, fantastic. Kelli K Naturopath, thank you so much for joining us tonight for another Wellness Wednesday. Absolutely love having you on the show every Wednesday. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
Kelli,
so great.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me again.
Wellness Wednesdays on the Takeover, brought to you by station sponsor Kelli K Naturopath. Book your free intro call today at kellik.com.au.